Hello, and welcome to With Swag to the Moon. Today, I'm gonna be your host, and right next to me is Cole Robert Lipinski.
Hello.
Today we're gonna talk about the Giants wide receivers not showing up to OTAs. Those lazy football players. Also, Peyton Manning, he's turning some heads, impressing some people. He can throw the football harder than he could last year. Gronk and RG3 are kind of swapping places. RG3's making his injury comeback, and Gronk is just getting more and more surgery on just different body parts.
Just everything.
He's going to have toe surgery next week. Just wait. And the return of Sean Payton. See if he can help Drew Brees break more passing records and...
Just that to the Saints.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Just get his face back in that building.
All right, I'm Cole Lipinski, and this is episode 4 of With Swag to the Moon.
It feels like 10.
Yeah, it feels like 10 because it's been like a long time.
Yeah.
The things that have happened since we last had our episode was the Super Bowl happened. And
Did it?
It did.
Wow, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's how long it's been. Everyone knows the Ravens won. Then after that, the draft happened.
Mm-hmm. The huge combine draft business.
Just everything.
Yeah.
It was a pretty entertaining draft. I mean,
I like a punter didn't get drafted in the third round, which happened last year, and that was one of the funniest things about the draft.
well, you look at the first round, how many offensive skill in quotation positions.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like quarterback, running back, wide receiver, like 3 or 4.
Not one running back was drafted.
Not one. Oh
in
yeah,
the first round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eddie Lacy from
He went in the second round.
from Alabama. He dropped. I mean, very far. And,
I was happy about that.
and he got drafted to your Packers. The Vikings, I think, won the draft. And, just not being biased, but 3 first-round picks and filling 3 voids that you need is always gonna win you the draft.
I don't like it one bit.
No,
It sucks.
well, it doesn't matter how good Cordell Patterson is. It matters how much
Christian Ponder.
Christian Ponder throws him the ball. Adrian Peterson should just take over quarterback and do everything.
Who was that? Jim Thorpe from way back in the day. Although he was just one of those all-around players.
Wasn't Fran Tarkenton also like that? I mean, like he kicked field goals and did everything. But, so that's happened. No huge trades.
Not really.
Some big free agent signings with Charles Woodson leaving the Packers, going back to the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm interested to see who he's going to retire with. If he'll retire with Green Bay, since that's where he had
all his success.
Yeah.
I mean, he was huge there.
Right. He won Defensive Player of the Year. But then again, he got his start in Oakland, and he was there for like 4 or 5 years before they released him. But he only signed a 1-year contract with Oakland this time around.
And I'm sure it's just for him to retire because he's pretty old. He's been hurt the past few seasons.
Yeah, it's a little tough for him to stay on the field.
Other big free agent signings: Matt Castle signed with the Vikings. Not a huge one. You don't hassle Matt Castle, but
I wouldn't be surprised if he does end up starting at some point.
He's got his money. He's a good quarterback. He's just been with the Kansas City Chiefs the past 2-3 years. I mean,
3 or 4.
3 or 4 now, because he got his big money when he backed up Brady.
Right, he won like 11-4 or something like that.
But that's with the Patriots and Bill Belichick, and you don't. I mean,
that's kind of like what happened with Matt Flynn. Like he just had that one really good game where he threw for 500 yards,
and then got paid $10 million to sit on the fucking bench.
No, he's in Oakland too.
Yeah, he's in Oakland. Oakland's trying to do something, which it'll probably just wind up blowing up in their face, like it always does. What are the other big free agent signings? I'm sure there's one that were just Reggie Bush.
He went to Detroit. Yeah,
went to Detroit.
Mike Wallace went to Miami. That was like the first big free agency splash.
That was like right away too.
Yeah,
which I don't know, for Greg Jennings, I don't know. Greg Jennings going to Minnesota.
That took a lot longer than I thought it would have.
Yeah. I thought it would, because everyone knew he was going there right away. I mean, Wes Welker going to Denver.
That caught me by surprise.
That caught me way by surprise. I mean, they have the best wide receiver core in the NFL now.
Right.
With Wes Welker,
perfect slot receiver. And then you have Demaryius Thomas and Eric Decker, who are at least 6'3" or taller.
They're both like decathlete type athletes, and
so you have them stretching the field. You can just dink it off to Welker and he'll run it 99 yards.
They're saying I read this morning Ahmad Bradshaw going to work out with the Colts.
I forgot he hasn't signed with anyone.
No yet. Which is probably very good for the Colts because that they need who's the running backs last year? Vic Ballard and Donald Brown.
Yeah.
I mean but it's
they need some more power back there.
Beanie Wells, I saw today, was going to work out in Jacksonville.
Really? Yeah. Oh yeah, Rashard Mendenhall went to Arizona. Because Bruce Arians was his offensive coordinator when he was in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So he kind of had a hard-on for Rashad.
Just kind of like how, what's his name? I can't think. He played with the Patriots last year, wide receiver.
Brandon Lloyd.
Brandon Lloyd. He's followed that one offensive coordinator everywhere. Like
Josh McDaniels.
Yeah, just I'm following you.
Get me the football.
And that didn't work out for him that much last year.
How'd that work out for your fantasy team?
That was bad. I
told Fish to do the same thing.
But yeah, you just like when Chad Ochocinco went there, it's like, oh wow, he's gonna explode in the,
Yeah, I just heard his thing was he just couldn't quite get the playbook down, or he didn't put out the effort to get the playbook.
But then you look at it too. You also not everyone's going to get the touches with Welker, Gronk, Hernandez.
Exactly.
But then you look at like Julian Edelman or whatever the fuck his name was.
Yeah.
Like, what? Come on. Like, that made me more mad than anything.
Yeah, he shouldn't be catching balls over Ocho.
No. And possibly one of the bigger signings this year was the signing of Jake Long by the St. Louis Rams. If anyone knows, Jake Long has been one of the more dominant offensive tackles in the past few years in the NFL.
Really, like since he's been drafted, he made an immediate
I think he was first overall draft pick.
That sounds right.
If I remember correctly. But he spent the last few years in Miami. I'm sure he just kind of wanted out. Also, their new logo is pretty dumb.
I think it's better than the dolphin wearing a helmet, though.
All right. But so he moved on to the St. Louis Rams, and it kind of looks like the Rams are gearing up to make a run in the NFC West.
Or at least just to be able to contend with Seattle and San Francisco.
Yeah, because Seattle now is a powerhouse team with the trade for Percy Harvin.
Yeah.
They also brought in... they got rid of Matt Flynn's contract, which is pretty big for them.
Yeah, that cleared up a bunch of cap space. They got Cliff Averill from Detroit.
Okay.
So that's just going to make their defense all the more menacing.
Yeah. Also, other big was Ed Reed leaving Baltimore. It kind of sounds like everyone is just jumping Baltimore right now. Ray Lewis retiring, Ed Reed left. Elvis Dumervil went there.
Bernard Pollard left. I think the other save, he's the guy that broke Tom Brady's ACL, and he knocked Stephen Ridley out in the playoffs.
Oh, okay.
I think he also hurt Wes Welker. Like, if anyone on the Patriots has like a season-ending injury, it's thanks to Mr. Pollard.
So just the Patriot killer is gone now. Also, so those are kind of the biggest free agent signings of the off-season, the free agent period. Now it's time for the NFL OTAs, which just kind of gets everyone in and gets their football stuff going.
Yeah, at first they had rookie mini camps, right? Like, is that how it goes? Like rookie mini camps, and then OTAs follow that.
And
then it goes into preseason.
And then it's like a month where they don't do, like, nothing happens, and then it's training camp.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
But the biggest thing from this OTA is the not Patriots, the Giants wide receivers. There's two studs, Hakeem Nicks and Victor Cruz, have not showed up, and I know that Tom Coughlin does not appreciate even those guys being late, let alone just not showing up.
Yeah, Tom Coughlin runs a tight football team, from what I've heard, and he's pretty strict. He kind of takes like the Lombardi approach, just being a hard ass, and I'm sure it's just eating him inside, missing his top two.
And top two, I would put both those wide receivers in the top 15 of the entire NFL. I mean, Victor Cruz, I think, is better than Hakeem Nicks.
Hakeem Nicks is just powerful. He's kind of like a Anquan Bolden. Like, he'll just fight for the football in the air. Okay. He'll just rip it right out of the air.
Okay, and then that's the main thing that the Giants, and they also they may be without Jason Pierre-Paul at the start of the season. He underwent back surgery this offseason. So they're pretty. The Giants are pretty beat up after making the Super Bowl 2 years ago now and winning the Super Bowl. The Lamont Bradshaw's gone, but they also have those two great running.
Yeah, they've definitely gotten younger in the backfield
with
David Wilson. I can't remember who their other running back is.
He's not young though. I know that he kind of bounced around quite a bit, but David Wilson came in and
if he can just hold on to the football. Tom Coughlin hates fumbling and turnovers, so if he can just hang on to the football, I think he could really do some good work in the Meadowlands.
Yeah, and then going to the Cleveland Browns, Trent Richardson is likely out until August. He got a lower leg injury during an OTA practice, which really hurts the Browns because, I mean, they have nothing really.
Yeah, they need as much help as they can get.
Trent Richardson kind of came in last year and he
gave him some hope.
He gave him a lot of hope. I mean, great running back. Probably the best Browns running back for a long time.
Yeah.
He came in right away and he made an impact and made the Brown, obviously Brandon Weeden.
Yeah.
And Colt McCoy.
I was surprised by their decision not to look for a new quarterback in the draft. Like, they drafted Brandon Weeden. Did they draft him in the first round last year?
Yes, I believe they did.
So, I mean, if you do that, you got to stick with it just to, show support in your staff. But they maybe should have looked for another option just in case.
And he's like 28.
Yeah, he's older.
He's an older rookie quarterback, and last year he didn't really show anything.
Yeah.
But
it's kind of goofy looking too.
So is Colt McCoy. Yeah. I think he's gone now too, isn't he?
I know he was looking to. Yeah, he is backing somebody up. Where did he? Did he go to San Francisco?
Maybe. That sounds about right. We apologize. We don't have internet where we are at right now, yeah. So we can't really look these things up. So if you're sitting there going, "Well, what the hell? How do you not know this?" Doing a podcast, we apologize.
We just got to put something out there.
It's been too long. We have to let everyone know we're still here. Fighting the good fight. Yes, he is backing up the San Francisco 49ers.
Nice. I just pulled that one right out of my ass.
Good backup to Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of Alex Smith and bring in a younger Alex
Smith.
So,
sidebar, what do you think about all these mobile quarterbacks going into their second year?
It should be good. I mean, you got RG3 is going to be the best one to watch. And
he's dynamite.
He's so much fun to watch, and he's fun to watch. Every play he can turn into
a touchdown.
Yeah. Like any play. But it'll be weird to watch him now this year because I know he says he'll be ready for the first game of the season, but Shanahan is saying, the doctors will say. So I'm sure there's going to be some angst between him and Shanahan, but there always is because Shanahan's kind of a dick.
Yeah, unless I heard RG3 was kind of right on track for recovery.
Okay.
It kind of sounded like he was kind of on par with what Adrian Peterson was dealing with. It sounds like he should be.
But he's no Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no one that, like, they're saying, and this is obvious, basketball, Kobe Bryant, he tore his Achilles. He'll be back. I mean, look at, now everyone ever, they're going to tear something, Adrian Peterson came back. But Adrian Peterson is a man.
Yeah.
He is a man.
And then I'm sure age will play a difference, because Kobe Bryant, he's 37, 38.
He's
maybe
36, 37.
Is he?
He's old, and he'll probably be done after this year.
Yeah.
Because I think all he wants to do now is go above Michael Jordan on the all-time scoring list, and then he'll retire.
Oh, yes. But RG3, he's in his young 20s, so I'm sure that's a good bonus for him to getting back on the field.
And then Russell Wilson, not too much. He's not so much of a scrambler, but he's
run.
elusive.
Yeah,
he's very elusive. I remember watching him last year. I believe it was in, I want to say
their game against Chicago was really good.
Was it? It might have been against Chicago. I remember it's where their defense blocked the field goal and ran it back for a touchdown.
Oh, that's right.
And because I had their defense in fantasy football, and it won me the week. But
I don't think that was the Chicago game.
No, it was. I think it was against the Eagles, if they even played them last year.
Yeah.
But I remember watching that game, and he just got the ball, and he ran sideline to sideline for a good 30 seconds, and then threw a first down pass, and it was just awesome to see that happen. And then Andrew Luck isn't so much of a loot. He's more of a Peyton Manning, stay in the pocket, zip it in.
I think if the pocket collapses around him, he can kind of escape and maybe run out of bounds or try to keep the play going. I don't think he has like stone feet or anything. He can kind of maneuver a little bit.
Yeah. That's kind of, Vic is, I'm sure if he underperforms the first week or two, he's benched.
It sounds like under Chip Kelly's new off-season regimen, he's all about vitamins, getting all your sleep. He will hook up his players to heart monitors while they sleep to get their feel for him. He makes diet shakes based on their diet.
Oh, really?
And there was one article I read where Michael Vick beat LaShawn McCoy in a 40-yard, some little 40-yard dash.
Wow.
So it kind of sounds like Michael Vick might make a comeback, but I'm a little tentative to say that.
And you think of it, last year he had way more turnovers than he did touchdowns.
Yeah, he fumbled a lot. Not even just interceptions, just he could not take care of the football.
I mean, he's been kind of going down. He had that one season he came back, and he was amazing.
Yeah.
I think it was his first season as a starter for the
because that's when Kolb was playing, and he got hurt, and then that's why Vic
came in, and then it was like, oh, wow, he still got it. And then ever since then, it's been just progressively going downhill. And he's older, too, so you can't really rely, fantasy-wise on it, you can't really rely on his feet to get you them touchdowns, and he's never been the best of passers.
Right? Yeah, he's kind of got a wild. He can throw the ball hard, just it's not always as accurate as he would hope.
So, but yeah, other than that, there's not a. I'm trying to think of any other mobile quarterbacks. Because there's no really new quarterbacks that got drafted other than the guy who went to Buffalo. And I don't think he's going to really do
a whole lot. I don't really know anything about E.J. Manuel.
Yeah.
When I saw he was drafted in the first, and I was like, wow. Hopefully Buffalo struck gold on this, otherwise they're gonna be hearing about that for a while.
Yeah. And they let Geno Smith drop to the Jets, and he was projected, at the beginning of the year, he was projected to go in the top 10.
15, yeah.
Top 15, top 10.
There were 3 teams within the top 10. It was okay, they need a quarterback, but they might go a different way.
Yeah, and he went second round to the Jets, and that's just a headache right away. You go you go to New York, and you underperform, they're going to hate you. That's why I think that was one of the worst things they ever did to bring in Tim Tebow, because they brought him in, everyone expected him to play, and he never did.
And that just killed Tebow's career. Now it kind of sounds like the only place he can find to play football is Canada.
Yeah, I mean, he was the biggest thing in the NFL.
Yeah,
I mean,
after those wins in Denver and that one playoff win, that just set everyone.
And everyone
off.
loved him. He had a book. I mean, everyone.
Yeah.
And then then Manning came in to Denver. They traded Tebow, and then he didn't. How many snaps did he must have took under 30 snaps for the season. Yeah, and that might be even stretching it.
Right. And they tried to find like special things. I know he was like the punt protector for a little bit. Whatever the hell that is.
Yeah.
They tried to find ways to get him on the field and try to help him win, but it certainly did not help him.
It did not. And then you look at it, you got Rex Ryan, who he's obviously knows what he's doing, but I just don't feel that he's got it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like he has total control over his players. Like, people are still leaking to the media, like, unknown Jets players just bashing on Mark Sanchez.
Yeah, and you would never hear that a Patriot player. You know,
right.
And obviously you're not going to bash Tom Brady, but you would never hear that from that. I mean, even that
Belichick certainly wouldn't stand for that.
And even with Minnesota, Ponder, has been underperforming for being a first-round draft pick, and you never, other than Percy Harvin not respecting him, and they traded him. Which, he was going to leave anyway.
And now it kind of sounds like the whole vibe in the locker room just kind of has a lot better feel to it.
And because, I think he kind of came in and Favre kind of took him under his wing. And then once Favre left, who came? Oh, yeah, Randy Moss came in. And then, it just, he's a good player, but he has an attitude.
Yeah.
Which, you can't really ever have. But other things, big, OTA things is Carson Palmer going to Arizona they're projecting him to be week 1 starter after probably one of the worst seasons.
Yeah, Larry Fitzgerald, I felt so bad for him.
I feel so bad for him.
Just heartbroken.
He goes to be the big team player, signs the huge deal.
Yeah, like huge a Kelvin Johnson size contract.
And he caught 10 touchdown passes, maybe. I mean,
I would say he maybe caught 10 passes in total.
I mean, who'd you have throwing to him? Cobb,
and Skelton,
who's okay, Skelton, and then that other dude.
Yeah, and I didn't even know they put him in the game.
And he just didn't. I don't know. He just didn't do anything. He just.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel bad for him because as a Minnesota fan, he's from Minnesota. I would have loved for him to come back. Come to Minnesota.
I would have hated that.
Oh, you would have hated. I know you would have hated that, but it would have been. You would probably like deep down root for him every time you kind of touch him pass. You'd probably give a little yeah, woo,
Larry.
Then the Falcons have had a pretty good offseason so far. Re-signing.
Is Gonzalez
back? Yep. They re-signed Gonzalez. They brought in Steven Jackson.
Yep.
They brought in Ozzie from the defensive end from the Giants. They brought him in.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. It sounds like they should be, they already kind of were a yearly playoff contender, but now it sounds like they're more serious.
And last year they were pretty serious, but Matt Ryan and has never gotten past the first round.
Yeah, and really, the one playoff win they got, all the credit goes to Tony Gonzalez. I was watching the highlights of that game the other day. He was making just these impossible catches to get them first downs, and that catch to get them into field goal position to beat Seattle.
Yeah,
I don't know how he caught that. It was unworldly.
They were undefeated for most of the season.
Yeah,
and but. They should do another. They should have another good season, and they bring in a good running back. Because who are their running backs?
They had Michael Turner and Jaquiz Rogers.
And both of them, Jaquiz Rogers wasn't that great, and Michael Turner was so old and slow.
And I'm kind of worried that Steven Jackson, after a year, might even turn into a burned out.
All they needed him for is just this 1 year, because every year Matt Ryan has gotten better.
Yeah,
I mean. He's got more touchdown. Him and Roddy White combined for the most touchdowns than any other tight quarterback wide receiver combo in like the past 5 years or something like that.
Yeah,
I saw some stat like that, but in just EJ Manuel is in.
It was a good thing they got rid of Fitzpatrick. I think that was a good move.
And right now Emmanuel is third on the depth chart behind Kevin Cobb and T-Jack.
Yeah.
Tavares Jackson. But if history showed anything, all he has to do is complete one or two passes and he's got the starting job, because Cobb, I mean, he gets feather touches him on the field. He's hurt.
Right.
Concussion.
Yeah.
Tavares Jackson is just... He's okay. I mean...
He's tough.
He's tough, but he's just not that great. So... And they're in rebuild mode. But.
Yeah. CJ Spiller should really, I think, emerge for him this next year. It sounds like they're... I mean, if they don't get him the football more, then I don't know what they're thinking.
Because who are their wide receivers? Stevie Johnson and...
Yeah, I don't even know past that.
I mean, but the one person this year that I think is going to need to have a huge season to just get his credibility back is Cam Newton.
Yeah,
because
just to show that he's matured, even just a little bit, to take losses more seriously and just not be so hard on himself.
Yep, and I believe they have the new head coach with Ron Rivera.
Yeah,
and I think they're just the Panthers. They haven't been good for a while. I mean, they went to the Super Bowl. 10 years ago. Was it Jake Delhomme?
I think so.
That sounds right. But
who was it that carried them to the Super Bowl? How did they even get there?
I don't know.
They played Chicago that game.
Yeah, right? And Chicago won, didn't they?
Yeah, it must have been their defense that carried them.
But I mean, after last year, everyone had he in the over. I mean, they got blown out by the Giants, and he ran in a touchdown late, and he did his whole Superman opening, and that was just kind of in poor taste. You're losing by 20 points. You don't do that.
Yeah, you just hand the football to the ref, and
you just do the Barry Sanders. Here's the ref. I'm going to go back. And here's the ball. I'm going to go back. But I mean, he needs to have. He needs to get mature and become more of a team leader, and I think he will.
Yeah, this will be a big year for him coming out. It'll be really interesting to see what kind of progression he makes.
Yep. That year they went to the won the NFC champion. They lost to the Patriots. They played the Patriots. But they're going for. They need to win. They need to keep Cam happy so they don't lose him, because I mean, any team will drop whoever their court, unless it's Breeze, Brady, Rodgers.
Yeah,
they're dropping them and picking
in a heartbeat. Yeah,
I mean, really though. But yeah, that's just kind of a little bit of the team. Chicago. Last I heard, they were working out Jamarcus Russell.
Really,
yeah, that was the thing I heard last year. And
nice.
And teams aren't gonna work anyone out for just no reason. They're working them out with plans and signing him.
Yeah.
And which will be funny, because Jamarcus Russell will have a job while Tim Tebow does not.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I watched a thing on Jamarcus Russell a couple weeks ago, and obviously it's going to make it look like he is coming back and is focused on it, but when you weigh 320 pounds and are a quarterback. But you know what?
And I've heard he's dropped some weight. But
he's dropped quite a bit.
I'm sure he's still a little bit too big.
But he should come out, and if he comes out, he's got Jay Cutler in front of him, and Cutler is so wishy-washy with his play and his attitude too. I mean, he's always had a bad attitude. And last year their backup was Jason Campbell, and he was bad.
Yeah, he did not help him at all when Cutler came out of the game.
Oh, he was. I mean, that was
That was bad.
I remember watching that game. I was like, I'm so happy I have that defense. But other ones, Cincinnati, they should probably do about the same. I mean, they really
they drafted Tyler Eifert, this huge athletic tight end, and in mini camps, they were doing a lot of 2 tight end sets with him and Jermaine Gresham kind of moving him around.
And Gresham was pretty, he was a solid tight end. And
so I wonder if they'll kind of go the way of
the Patriots.
Yeah, just kind of trying to get as many mismatches on the field as possible and trying to take advantage of that.
And you got that, and then you have AJ Green, who
Yeah, you just send him down the field. That will clear up anything in the middle.
And, you got, I think, the 2 elite receivers in the league after last year are Kelvin Johnson and AJ Green, because AJ Green caught a touchdown almost every game.
Yeah, just the consistency between them is...
And I mean, the quarterback...
Dalton?
Yeah, Andy Dalton. He's not that great. I mean, he's all right. And then their running back is the law firm, Ben Jarvis.
He'll get you a first down if you need it, but not much beyond that.
Yeah, he's always been a solid player. The other one, Dallas re-signed Tony Romo.
Yeah,
to a long deal,
big money for no playoff wins.
No playoff wins. I mean, he's never done it. He's always underperformed.
Yeah,
and I mean and who's their backup last year? Kyle Orton.
Yep.
And I think he's a better quarterback than Romo. And
he certainly has moments where it's like, wow, I can't believe they're starting Tony Romo out there.
and he's just tough. And with Dallas, I mean, they're probably the second biggest team behind the New York teams.
Yeah.
I mean, just
like
for
scrutiny.
Yeah, media and scrutiny, because they're America's team and all that crap. And they just built $1 billion stadium.
Yeah, ever since they had those back-to-back Super Bowls, people have just been expecting them to go back to the playoffs year after year, and they just haven't been able to get back there.
And he's got, Miles Austin he's older, but he's a good receiver. They've got
Dez Bryant.
He's a great receiver. DeMarco Murray is supposed to be good.
Yeah, hopefully he'll come back healthy.
But he's always an injury risk, and I feel they'll just have another mediocre season at best. And then the Broncos. I mean, just going down the list here of the teams, the Broncos. They signed Wes Welker. They've drafted Monte Ball, and he's supposed to be the
workhorse.
The workhorse to Peyton Manning. I mean, even last year you'd watch was it Marino?
No Sean Marino? Yeah.
And then
towards the end of the year?
Towards the end of the year, yeah. Just watching him. 6 yards, 8 yards, 10.
Yeah.
Because every team is so afraid of Peyton Manning throwing the ball. It's
creating all that space for him.
Yeah. And the other thing, too, is I just want to go on and say, Peyton Manning, all-time great.
Yeah. I think that's without question.
Hall of Famer. First round, first year Hall of Famer. But the only thing I don't like about him is every year they come out and they go, he's gonna win. They've got the Super Bowl locked up. They've already handed him the trophy, and he comes out of the gate amazing. But by the time December rolls around,
it starts getting a little worn out.
He starts getting worn out, and then the playoffs come around, and he's not doing it. He's just an average quarterback. It's kind of getting under my skin that everyone's like, he's the best quarterback ever, and then you kind of watch Brady straight line throughout the whole season. Maybe a game or two where he doesn't.
Yeah, you're gonna have off games here and there, but he brings his best to every game.
Yeah, and that's why I think. And then Aaron Rodgers, as long as he's not getting 4 dudes tackling him at the same time, he does amazing.
Right.
And I just that's my only thing with Peyton Manning is he
makes some poor decisions when
it's clutch.
Yeah.
He's not that great of a clutch player, but...
And that brings up the whole debate on, which Manning would you rather have, Eli or Peyton? And it's like, well, regular season, I would rather have Peyton, because he's going to get you to the playoffs.
Yep.
But then after that, he just can't get you to that Super Bowl.
And the one year he's went twice? Am I correct with saying that? So I know he went in 2009 2009, 2010, I believe, when it was the Saints won it. They
lost to the Saints.
Yep, and then they went one other year where they won it with Tony Dungy.
And I think that was against Chicago, I believe.
We'll just say Chicago.
Yeah.
But you kind of look at it, and it's just they're not like that year they won it. That it was kind of Tony Dungy, and they had a great defense. Every other year, it's just been kind of like Peyton Manning's great, but other than that, his supporting cast is usually pretty shitty.
Yeah,
I mean, he's never had a great running back.
He's had good wide receivers though, with Marvin Harrison and the one guy that's still playing right now.
I see his face. I see him catching the ball. I just can't.
God dang it!
I can't think of his name. Him.
Yeah,
still plays for the Colts. But
Reggie Wayne.
That's
his name. How could he was on my fantasy team? I don't know how I forgot about him.
He was on mine as well, and I forgot in my other league. But yeah, Reggie Wayne,
and he should still be around for a couple more good years. He's starting to get a little bit older, I think.
Yeah, and then you got Eric Decker and Marius Thomas.
Yeah.
Two of the best receivers.
Just athletic
and then you
monsters.
got Wes Welker, who is the best slot receiver, dare I say, ever. I mean,
he's definitely up there in that conversation.
Yeah. And if they don't win the Super Bowl, there's going to be...
Yeah, that's a disappointing season for him.
Yeah, because they're building it to get him a Super Bowl, because Eli's always been like the worst of the two, but he's won 2 Super Bowls.
Right. The Patriots.
Over the Patriots.
Yeah, which is no easy task.
No, not even ever.
Yeah.
Next up we got the Detroit Lions, and we already kind of discussed them with bringing in Reggie Bush to kind of... Mikel LaShore is good, but he's been injured more than not.
And Reggie Bush will kind of bring that pass-catching explosiveness that should help him out.
And then you got Kelvin Johnson. The defensive side of the ball, they've got a decent defense, but they can't stay out of trouble.
Yeah, that seems to be a big problem.
But they'll I think they'll bounce back from this 4-win season to...
Yeah, they have to. If they have another down season like that, that's definitely going to hurt them.
A lot. I mean...
Yeah.
Then we got the Packers. Your bread and butter.
Yep.
The Aaron Rodgers just signed a huge contract.
$110 million or something like that. It was more than Flacco's in the long run, but it wasn't as much money up front, I think. I can't remember how his contract works.
I don't know. I would never give Joe Flacco that much money.
Yeah.
I mean,
one Super Bowl win, that's impressive, but I don't know if that is worth over.
But he also beat Peyton Manning and Tom Brady to get to the Super Bowl. But
that Baltimore defense did a lot of work too.
Yeah.
I mean, in the Super Bowl, Flacco was clutch, making some big throws, completing some big plays, but. I'm going to be curious to see how he does next year.
Yeah, but now we've got the Packers. Just lost their best receiver with Greg Jennings, and that and
they have a pretty deep receiving core.
They do, but you also look at it the other side of the coin. Are they good receivers, or are they good because Aaron Rodgers makes them good?
A little bit of both. Jordy Nelson is just he's athletic. He's a lot faster than you think he is.
Yeah.
And it's just Randall Cobb is the playmaker.
James Jones.
Now. Yeah, and he led the league in touchdown receptions last year. He's a big red zone guy. And they just drafted 2 new wide receivers in like the 6th and 7th round of the draft, and they're kind of unheard of. No one had really heard about him too much, but that's kind of Ted Thompson's magic about him, is because Donald Driver was a 7th round pick out of some small school.
And he's an Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he's the all-time leading yard reception guy for Green Bay. I have no idea what I just said. But now, and then they drafted 2 running backs, and Eddie Lacy and Jonathan Franklin. And it sounds like they've got some pass-catching abilities. I'm excited.
Yeah, but no matter how good their offense is, their defense is still average, middle of the road.
They drafted someone in the first round, Dayton Jones. He makes me laugh every time I see him in an interview. He's like, when you guys talk about NFL football, I want you to talk about Dayton Jones.
I can run the ball, I can catch the ball, I can throw the ball.
And I understand it's just college highlight films, but he is explosive and just fast off the line.
I remember watching on the draft night, watching that, and saying, "Oh wow, he'll do pretty good."
Pairing him next to Clay Matthews and Nick Perry, their first round draft pick from the year before, that could be a pretty good front line. I'm hoping they'll at least get more pressure on the quarterback. They didn't get very many sacks last year, which was something they...
I mean, and I think Aaron... I also saw another stat. Now, I don't know if... I may just be making this up, but Aaron Rodgers has been the most hit quarterback.
He was the most sacked last year. I know that.
I mean, over the past few years, he's been the most hit.
And... Green Bay drafted 2 offensive tackles, I think. And
really?
What they're doing is they're shifting their 2 best players who put their right tackle and the right guard. They're shifting them to the left side.
Okay.
And then now just kind of that right side is a free-for-all for whoever is like the best fit for that job.
So they're going to put a couple rookies up against Jared Allen
right.
on the bite. Because Jared Allen, and I know you don't, but Jared Allen has Rodgers' number.
Yeah.
Every game... At least 2 sacks.
I would say when he gets the schedule, he circles those games against Green Bay, and he's like, I'm going to be prepared for that.
But it was he's getting older too. You know, it's sad to see some players like that go. But
yeah, sometimes I forget about his time in Kansas City.
Yeah, I mean, he spent 4 or 5 years in Kansas City, and he's been in Minnesota for 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah,
and I don't know if you saw that or not last year, but when they played the Buccaneers. And the guy punched Jared Allen's helmet off.
Oh, that fight!
And he broke his nose, and Jared Allen just grabbed him by the face mask, and it was awesome. And then the next play, he just ripped the guy's side and just creamed Josh Freeman. Adrian Peterson. Every play of his is a highlight, but that was the play. Vikings play.
Seeing a defensive lineman just get nasty like that.
Oh, it's fun. It's awesome. It gets goosebumps.
It's just like old school football. It's just something you don't see every day.
No, and there's so many rules. Prevent them from doing things. But now we're gonna go on to your other favorite. Well, I don't know, favorite team, but a team you like to watch: the Houston
Texans.
Houston Texans. Now, Arian Foster, your man.
Little tweaked his calf a little bit. It doesn't sound too serious. I'm going to keep a watchful eye out for that.
Yeah, because we're in a fantasy league together, and you drafted him, and in our league we have 2 keepers, and him and Cam.
They drove my championship team.
Oh yeah, your championship, which we still have to go get you a trophy.
Hell yeah, we do.
But yeah, and they're bringing back pretty much everyone. They drafted another wide receiver,
which they desperately need.
Because you go Andre Johnson, and then there's no one really.
Yeah, like Jacoby Jones is like the only other guy there.
Oh,
or maybe there's 2 Jacobys. There's Jacoby Jones and Jacoby Ford.
I think it's Jacoby Ford because Jacoby Jones is on the Ravens.
Yeah,
and he ran back the kickoff in the
that's right,
the Super Bowl, which I think he should have been the
Super
Bowl MVP.
Yeah,
because you never really get that, but
he turned that game around for him.
Now we got the Colts, and
they lost Bruce Arians, their offensive coordinator, who was their head coach
and he went to Miami?
Arizona,
okay.
So now Chuck Pagano is going to be the coach again. It sounds like his whole cancer spell is over with.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting to see if they keep the same sort of... Because they had stretched the field a lot with Bruce Arians. He had Andrew Luck just chucking the football all over the place.
And another thing they did, they brought in a backup quarterback, Matt Hasselbeck, which... he's not going to play unless Luck goes down, and that's just adding another coach because Hasselbeck has been around for a long time.
Yeah, Green Bay drafted him, and he sat behind Favre for however long, and he got coached by him, and then that's when they sent him up to Seattle, and he
He did good in Seattle.
I think they made it to the Super Bowl once. I know they've had a couple good playoff pushes.
Okay, and you look at it, they still have the same. I thought they signed someone in their backfield, but I could be mistaken.
They probably did. They got someone from Miami last year, one of their cornerbacks, Vontae Davis.
Yep.
I thought that was a good addition for them.
Yep, and then they'll just. I feel they'll do the same. Go to the playoffs. Probably get outs by one of the more deep veteran teams.
Yeah, did they lose to the Bengals last year? Is that who knocked them out?
They Bengals lost in the first round, as did the Colts. Now, I don't remember who the Colts lost to.
I think the Bengals lost to the Texans because that's what happened the year before.
Yep.
And it happened again this year. I can't remember who the Colts played.
But they were first round.
Yeah.
They got there.
That's a good credit to Andrew Luck for coming in as a rookie and turning that team around from a one-win team to taking them to the playoffs.
Yeah. And I thought it was kind of funny. The top 4 of the 3 teams that had the first in the draft. So the Colts, the Redskins, the Browns, and the Vikes. Three of the 4 went to
the playoffs. Yeah,
and it just shows how much that one kind of key piece. And Vikings, they got Matt Cleveland, Adrian Peterson, MVP.
Just went nuts.
I cannot wait. We got another 2.5 months.
Yeah,
and then football is here. Jacksonville, I have nothing to say about them.
Yeah,
new logo looks dumb.
I think Jones-Drew is starting to get near the end of his career. Like, it seems too early for him, but he's just, after what happened last year with his injuries and his holdout, it just...
At least his career in Jacksonville, because...
Yeah.
And I just don't understand what Jacksonville's doing with Blaine Gabbert. You've had him as a starter 2 years. He's done jack shit. Matt Moore's come in and actually made them... put them in games.
Chad Henne was their quarterback.
Or Chad Henne, not Matt Moore. Chad Henne. I got those 2 guys. They were in Miami.
Yeah, understandable.
They're two
white guys.
2 white average quarterbacks. But, yeah, I don't have anything to say about Jacksonville.
Their first-round pick from that year you were talking, Justin Blackmon.
Yep.
I think they picked after the Vikings did. I think he got arrested again over the offseason.
He is an idiot too.
Yeah.
He's only had 1 game last year. He had 1 game where he caught more than 3 passes.
And people were thinking he was gonna be the savior for Jacksonville, and he
hasn't panned out yet.
You gotta give. It seems like receivers take up to 3 to 4 years to really get comfortable within their system.
Kansas City looking for a huge roster overhaul. I mean,
getting Andy Reid in there, I think they're gonna be a scary team next year.
Well, and Alex Smith in there. Their first round pick was a lineman. First overall pick, they took a offensive lineman. And last year, despite having the worst record, they had 6 Pro Bowlers.
Yeah, and I don't know if I've heard that because there was a lot of their defensive players I think made it to the Pro Bowl.
Which I don't understand.
I think it's just their community just really pushes to get
and after the tragedy that happened there last year with the player.
And they do have good Brandon Flowers and Eric Berry and Tom Bahali, their linebacker. They do have some good names on that defense. They just I don't know what their problem is, but they still have Jamal Charles back there and Dwayne Bowe.
Dwayne Bowe, he wanted out, but I think once they got Alex Smith in there, he's like, well, I guess I'll stay around see what the other guy does.
So, it sounds like Kansas City, I mean, I don't think they'll have the worst record again this year. I think it's safe to say that, but...
They're in a kind of a tough conference, too.
Yeah, that certainly doesn't help them.
And the other thing, too, I just think that bringing Alex Smith in, they're going to go to more of the dink and dunk type passing. That's what Alex Smith is. He's not that great of a downfield thrower.
He takes care of the football, though.
He does.
I think the last game he played in, he was 18 for 21.
Yeah.
He only had 1 actual incomplete pass, and the other 2 were drop passes.
Yeah,
and then he got a concussion, and that was the end of that for him.
Kaepernick came in and just this is my team.
Just
now.
Took over.
And then we already kind of talked about the Dolphins. You know, they drafted Lamar Miller, their new running back. Mm-hmm. And then they got Tannehill. He didn't show much, but he wasn't bad.
He had some alright games.
Yeah, and they'll be decent.
Yeah,
they got the Vikings.
They'll be able to compete with the Jets at least. Like they won't take the Patriots over, but
no. Yeah, well, I mean, anyone can compete with the Jets.
Yeah.
Oh man, the Jets. Oh, I don't even want to talk about the Jets. You got the Vikings. Obviously, gonna ride the workhorse of Adrian Peterson again.
Do you think he's going to get 2,500 yards? That's his goal.
I know it's his goal, but you never. I'm going to say yes because they give him the ball. Every play every game I watched last year, they gave him the ball. You hold your breath because you never know.
Yeah,
like he needs just that inch of space, and he's gone. Touchdown. Right, and he's fast. He's strong.
It's just he's a man.
He is. But the Vikings, I think, have had a pretty good offseason so far. They re-signed the guys they want to re-sign.
I think getting rid of Percy was a good
move. Rid of Percy, and especially now you kind of look at it, their wide receiver core. And Greg Jennings, obviously Pro Bowler, possible Hall of Famer, great player, but he's not me type of player. He's kind of a team player.
Yeah.
I think that comes with playing in Green Bay forever. They're all...
it's definitely about the team and the group of guys.
And they brought Greg Childs back. They brought Lowenhold back. They brought all their guys back they wanted. Now the only thing they need left is a new inside linebacker.
That's right.
And, they were going to go for Urlacher, but Urlacher just, and it would have been weird. I don't know if I would have liked seeing him in a.
I don't think Vikings he would have liked being in a Vikings jersey
because that's kind of a stab in the back to the one. He's the most one of the most decorated players for the.
It's just Chicago. One of those great Chicago linebackers with butt kiss
and you're a Packers fan. Obviously, you don't like Chicago.
Nope.
But you love Urlacher.
Yeah, because he just puts everything he has into the game.
And then he's a great player. He's awesome to watch.
One of the greatest players never to win a Super Bowl ring. Yeah. Like it's a shame he had to retire, and it sucks that Chicago just let him go.
The other thing too is Chicago. He's going to be a coach in Chicago. He's going to be somehow involved with the Chicago coaching staff. But the Vikings. They are saying Ponder's showing leadership, and he's showing many strides.
He has to, yeah. If he doesn't, that's...
Then you got Castle. But,
yeah.
Now, on to one of the biggest storylines of the offseason. Gronkowski, the Patriots.
Yeah, it seems like that's been all over ESPN.
Yeah, and they're obviously one of the best teams in the NFL over the past 10, 12 years. They've been...
Since, Brady's emergence.
Yep. And even before that, I mean...
Yeah, because they had Drew Bledsoe.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he brought him to the Super Bowl, maybe.
But
I don't know.
Gronkowski coming in, having that breakout season, huge season.
He was
Unstoppable. Broke his arm. No, did he? He tweaked his ankle before the Super Bowl.
That's right, yeah.
He tweaked his ankle the week before the Super Bowl. He tried to heal it, didn't work.
Just wasn't the same.
The same. Next year came out, started out great, broke his arm.
Yeah.
Wasn't that it?
Yeah, his forearm, I think.
And ever since that, it's just been surgery after surgery. Now he's had back surgery, and he's obviously he's one of the best tight ends to play the game.
Yeah, what is he, 6'7"?
Something like that. And he's got 38 touchdown passes. And he looks like a man playing against boys out there. I mean, he is awesome. But he's been hurt. His forearm, now he has a back surgery. He needs to be healthy for the Patriots to succeed. Now losing Lloyd, Welker. I think
they're going to rely on their tight ends more than ever now.
Him and Hernandez. And, I mean, Stephen Ridley is there, and he's pretty good. But, I mean, you got their wide receiver is Edelman. I
don't know who's going to be their number one now.
It's gonna be weird watching that without Welker.
Yeah. So they're gonna have to keep Hernandez and Gronk as healthy as possible.
Yeah.
I don't know. If they lose one of them, they're definitely gonna be hurting.
Yeah. Then we got the Saints. Sean Payton comes back, faced the franchise, had to sit the year out for the bounty scandal. Saints went from the Saints to the Aints again.
Yeah.
They just weren't good.
They just lost their focus, I think.
They lost their focus. I mean, did they beat... All I remember, the only game I really ever watched them in last year was where they played the Packers.
Yeah, that was... Did Green Bay win by like a field goal?
I can't remember. Probably not. Mason Crosby probably botched it.
Yeah, there was one game where there was like a 3-week stretch where each game was won or lost by 3 points. And I think they did win that game. But the Saints made it a lot closer than it should have been.
Yeah. And, they've got all this... I mean, Colston, Sproles, Breeze,
Jimmy
Graham. Their defense is pretty solid. They just, without, I think, their leader in Sean Payton, it hurt. It was very evident.
That wouldn't be easy to go through, losing your head coach like that.
And then we got the Jets. We could spend 4 hours talking about the Jets. I mean...
They released Sean Green, their big running back, and he went to Tennessee.
Yep.
And during the draft, I think they made a trade for Chris Ivory, the Saints running back.
Okay, one of the Saints' 20 running backs.
So I think that might be a good fit for him. He's kind of a smaller running back. He's definitely not as big and powerful as Green was.
But it'll also be a different running back because Green has been
he was a plotter. Yeah, he would just get you those 3 tough yards. And
then now you got Geno Smith is taking first team reps.
Yeah, it's not... I don't think it's more of will he start, it's just when. Yeah.
Because Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez is... Rex Ryan is... And I don't think Rex Ryan has given up on Sanchez yet, but the town, the rest of the team, the organization has.
Yeah.
Because he had that early success.
Yeah, they brought him to the AFC Championship game 2 years in a row, and then I don't know if it was Santonio Holmes just giving up on him after that point, but they just lost it all after that.
That reminds me of one of the funniest plays, just one of the many bloopers of the Jets. The Jets season was basically just a season of bloopers.
Yeah.
Mark Sanchez's butt fumble.
That is like number one.
But where Santonio Holmes, he caught the ball and then he hurt his foot and then he just threw the ball on the ground.
I don't think I saw that.
You didn't? Oh, that's one of the funniest things. He caught the ball. It was like a little flare pass. So he caught the ball, turned, and as he turned, he tweaked his foot. And as he fell, he just threw the ball to the San Francisco. Just kind of threw it right to him. The guy ran it in for a touchdown. Oh, it was funny. But so Geno Smith, going to be the starter this year, and he deserved. I mean, he was. If he was, that was last year, he would have been probably drafted. No, not him. Barkley.
Yeah.
Matt Barkley.
He definitely would have been a first or second round draft pick had he came out after his big year with California.
Where did he wind up going?
He went to Philadelphia.
Okay.
So Chip Kelly was a big fan of his. He said during their interviews, like pre-draft process, he really impressed him, and so I wonder if it's gonna be Vic. They still have Nick Foles from last
he's
year.
Probably already over Nick Foles because watching Foles in those last few games last year is like, ooh.
He looks kind of awkward. He's kind of tall and lanky. He just doesn't seem like a
quarterback.
Yeah.
Raiders trying to do something because they haven't had a. I mean, they haven't had a. Their first round pick hasn't been a Pro Bowler since 2005. I
don't even think they've had a first round pick for
a first round Pro Bowler.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I mean, Jamarcus Russell bust.
Right.
That's the only one I can think of because all their other players have just panned out. I mean, Darius Hayward-Bayes
and I think
and McFadden.
Once Al Davis passed away, now Reggie McKenzie is the general manager, and he came over from Green Bay.
Okay.
So I think with his kind of hold on that team, definitely it's not going to be a 1-2 year process. But I think after a couple years, using Green Bay's draft style in Oakland for a couple years, I think they will be able to turn that team around a little bit.
And the other thing too, I think, is once they the thing they were doing last year was I think they the linemen went to a zone blocking scheme.
Oh, really?
I believe it was zone blocking, but McFadden wasn't used to it. That's why he
just wasn't himself.
He wasn't himself. So I think this year they've got a new head coach, don't they?
I'm not sure who is Oakland's head coach.
I have no idea, but I'm pretty sure they've got a new head coach that they're going to, or at least a new offensive line coach, because that's the way they're going to win.
Yeah, it's through Darren McFadden.
With Darren McFadden, because Darius Hayward-Bayes is gone.
Right.
And they've got no one really.
Like Rod Streeter and that other guy.
Myers. Robert Myers, I think his
name
is.
Yeah, they're tied to Brandon Myers.
Brandon Myers.
Yeah.
They're
tied I forgot about him. He really did kind of come on towards the end of the season.
And they got rid of Carson Palmer.
Which was probably good.
Yeah, I mean... we already kind of touched on the Eagles. There's not much to touch on. Vic is going to be the key. They just need...
because they still have Jeremy Maclin and Deshaun Jackson, and LaShawn McCoy.
And both Maclin and Jackson have kind of They've kind of underperformed.
Yeah, I think that would be fair to say.
To what they are used to be.
You could maybe blame some of that on quarterback play, but I don't think it's entirely the quarterback's fault.
I mean, last year, Jackson, I think, caught 2 touchdown passes.
Yeah, people are definitely expecting more from him.
Especially after that one punt return.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone was like, he is an explosive player.
That somehow ended up being, like, NFL.com had this post of, like, the best play in NFL history, and that ended up being it over, like, the best Jerry Rice catches or Barry Sanders runs. Like, oh, that was just an insult.
Yeah, I would. It's obvious. It's a top 10.
Yeah.
But it's probably the best return.
Yeah. It was pretty cool to see him just drop it and then just pick it up, and it just seemed like he just ran up the middle of the field, and that was the end of that.
Now we got the Steelers. They've had a lot happen. Their left tackle Mike Adams was stabbed. Ben Roethlisberger just had, I think, back surgery or knee surgery. He had one, but he's going to be okay and he'll play through anything.
It doesn't matter what he's hurt with.
They just brought in a new running back, didn't they? Because I know they got rid of Mendenhall. Didn't they?
I haven't heard of any running backs going in there,
but
they definitely do need one.
They do. I mean,
yeah, maybe they drafted somebody,
but they've got Mike Wallace. Mike Wallace is gone.
So it's Antonio Brown. They were able to keep Emmanuel Sanders, which they definitely needed to do.
Yep.
Especially losing Mike Wallace.
And they're just I believe they're in a rebuilding era after many years of success. They're gonna. I feel they're not going to do that great.
They're one of the older football teams in the league. They definitely have to try to get younger.
Polamalu, and Ben Roethlisberger, all those guys. I mean, since they won the Super Bowl, or they went to the Super Bowl, they lost to Green Bay.
Yes, they did.
Since then, they've just kind of been on a downward spiral, and
they just really haven't been themselves.
No, and I feel that they're just gonna not blow the team up, but they're gonna do if this season is bad, they're gonna
they'll probably cut some big name players that you wouldn't expect.
Or trade them just for draft picks and whatnot. Chargers, they
drafted Manti Te'o. A lot of people were he was projected to go
to the Vikings.
Some people were thinking Green Bay, Chicago, Baltimore, and then he ends up going to San Diego. That was kind of surprising.
After the team's 7-9 record last year of You can blame it on how Rivers played, but really the offensive line was poor.
Yeah,
they didn't have a running back.
Right. Yeah, because Ryan Matthews just kept getting hurt with his clavicles,
and apparently the guy they drafted, DJ Fluker,
yeah,
Fluker has been underperforming. He's not performing up to what they wanted, and it's.
Is Norv Turner still their head coach?
No, they fired him. They canned his ass.
Yeah.
I mean,
that needed to happen. His game planning didn't seem like it was working out for him at all.
No, it's just I feel there'll be another middle of the pack team. Not going to really do a whole lot.
Yeah, it's still kind of one of those teams, and like in between rebuilding and trying to get out of that funk.
Yep, and then excuse me. Their wide receiver, they got rid of Vincent Jackson last year.
Yeah, they Malcolm Floyd.
Who was the other one? I drafted him in every fantasy draft. He used to be on the Saints.
Ooh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but he came in, underperformed.
Robert Meacham.
Yeah. Brought him in, underperformed. But they've got they'll I feel they'll be middle of the pack again. Phillip Rivers will be okay again.
Yeah, probably like 25-ish touchdowns and maybe around 20 interceptions, something like that.
Normal. Yeah. Just like him and Fitzpatrick were kind of the same, but
he'll probably throw close to like 4,000 yards or something like that, but it won't be anything groundbreaking.
No. 49ers coming off the Super Bowl loss. They want to go back.
They're mad. They're gonna punch some people in the mouth. Yeah. They open up at home against Green Bay.
Oh, that's going to be a good game.
Yeah. Now, is Michael Crabtree...
Crabtree is out. He tore his Achilles.
Okay.
Now, they don't know if it'll be better for the season or not, but usually it takes around a year to heal.
Yeah.
So, but after that, I mean, their biggest name for their receiving core is...
Anquan Boldin,
and he's old. I mean,
he only really came through for Baltimore in the postseason.
Yep. And then this is just bad. I keep blanking on these names. Mario Manningham.
Manningham. I thought he was gonna have a much bigger role last year.
Yep, and he didn't. I mean, there's gonna be no one really there for Kaepernick. They're gonna just use the ground and pound, their normal bread and butter, ground and pound. Frank Gore's,
a little bit of pistol action.
But I think they're going to overcome it, get back to. They're going to go deep in the postseason.
Oh, definitely.
Just on their defense.
Yeah,
Patrick Willis is a man.
Yeah,
they'll.
And then Navarro Bowman, their other middle linebacker, is just as good almost. And it's a scary defense.
It is they're gonna go back to the postseason, possibly Super Bowl.
Yeah,
just on their defense. I mean, they're too good. Their defense is too good for them not, and especially playing pissed off.
Yeah, the only thing I could think of that would keep them out of the playoffs would be if Kaepernick got hurt. If he gets hurt, I think there goes their season.
Yep.
But if he can stay healthy, and I'm thinking now that the league is kind of like, okay, these running, scrambling quarterbacks are killing us. I don't know if they're going to have them stand back in the pocket a little bit more and then just kind of scramble when the play really breaks down.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll have as much designed run plays for Kaepernick.
No.
But...
yeah. But they're still going to be one of the best teams in the NFL.
Yeah.
Their head coach, I don't like him.
He's fun to watch.
He's a whiny baby.
He's just yelling. I want cake now. I
want it now. But I don't like him. I don't like him. I haven't liked him ever. And he may be a good coach, but
he used to be a quarterback for the Bears at one point, and I think for Indianapolis.
I think he even was a quarterback for the Ravens.
Really? Yeah. I didn't know that. There are a lot of head coaches where they have the actual game experience, and I just don't even know.
Up next, Seahawks.
They're just as
contender,
scary, yeah.
Just as good. Adding, you've got Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, and playing them at home is
impossible.
Yeah.
Right? Packers lost.
I'm glad this season will start with the real refs. I'm glad there's not going to be any of that.
Well, speaking of referees,
jumbo.
Speaking of referees, did you read on the new Madden? One of the main things they're trying to do this year is put the real referees in the game.
What does that even mean?
No, nothing. They're real faces. So, who gives a shit? Really, though.
How about we make some better game mechanics and go that way?
Yeah, not, let's get these referees in the game. No one cares. I hate when the referees, because you can't skip it.
Yeah. When they had that fight for the fumble thing, I'm glad they got rid of that. That was a pain in the ass.
Madden, you've dropped the ball again.
Yeah.
But we're back to the Seahawks. You got Harvin, you've got Wilson, you've got Lynch, you've got Sidney Rice, even Golden Tate.
Yeah.
Golden Tate.
He can catch the football as long as someone else catches it for him.
That's touchdown.
Yeah.
He'll go down to the books as a touchdown. With one referee hands the other touchdown, the other one's got the no.
Oh, that touchception.
Touchception. Oh.
Who is Seattle's... Oh, Zach Miller. That's their tight end. I thought maybe they had a pretty explosive tight end.
Oh, they've got a...
I think more of a blocker,
yeah,
I think.
Well, you got Marshawn Lynch, so you're going to have the run-blocking tight ends.
Yeah.
But... Now their defensive end, Bruce Irvin, is suspended for the first 4 games due to substance policy.
And he was drafted pretty high last year. He was a first-round pick. And of course,
he had 8 sacks last year.
Yep. Okay. I didn't even know he played.
He was a rookie.
Yeah. I mean, he was one of those guys where he's just freakishly talented, but he's kind of not very disciplined.
Yeah.
So, and Pete Carroll kind of likes those kind of guys.
Yes.
He's kind of built his defense off of rejected players.
Yeah.
And that has definitely worked out for them.
And they're great.
Yeah, like Earl Thomas, he's an undersized safety, and he is one of the hardest hitting guys out there.
Hottest hitting safeties in the league.
And Richard Sherman, their cornerback, he's 6'3", and he can run just as fast as anybody else out there.
Yep. Rams. Huge rebuilding. I mean, they're looking.
They made some good moves in the draft.
They're going for big time.
Yeah, because they tied that game with San Francisco. I mean, it's not as good as beating them, but tying them is
first tie in a long time.
Yeah.
Sam Bradford, looking, this
will be a big year for him.
This will be a big year. Is it a contract year or is it next year?
I'm not sure. That's a good question, though. That'd be something
that we need a fact checker for.
Yeah.
But last year they finished. The Rams finished 4-1-1 against NFC West.
And that is a tough division that they got to play in. And even Arizona, they started out 4-0 last year just off
then
the
they
defense.
Lost the next 28.
So even they're not. I mean, they're kind of a joke, but if they get a good coaching staff in there, they can.
They've signed some big names.
It's if they can get their offense caught up to where their defense is at.
Yeah.
Then they'll.
Because they have a great defense.
Yeah.
Was it when they played Did they play the Packers? Yeah, they played the Packers, and they had like 12 sacks in the first half.
Yeah.
I mean, they were in Aaron Rodgers' grill the whole time.
Yeah, that was not a fun game.
Oh, but Sam Bradford taking a leadership role. I feel he's like, he had that great rookie. He was a great rookie season.
Yeah, he threw for over 4,000 yards or something like that.
And then after that, it's just kind of tapered off. But I think
he got hurt. I think his second year, like he injured his finger or something like that, and he just couldn't quite.
And then last year he did all right. I mean,
yeah,
he's not a fantasy stud or anything like that, but.
He could win football games.
He can win football games. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Josh Freeman.
Yeah, that's interesting.
He goes in stretches where it's like
just hot and cold. Yeah.
Wow, he's great, and then you're like, that's Josh Freeman. But you got Vincent Jackson there.
That helps a great deal.
I'm wearing my Doug Martin jersey right now. I mean, the muscle hamster is the worst nickname in the NFL.
It fits him perfectly.
It does. It fits him perfectly, but it's a bad one. But great player.
And he should just make Josh Freeman that much better.
Yep.
Just if they could get that play action to work perfectly each time, that would just kill defensive players.
And I feel if Josh Freeman is entering the final year of his rookie deal, if they don't make it to the postseason, I think he's gone.
Yeah.
I mean,
either that or they'll maybe keep him for like a backup role. I don't know if he'd be interested in that, but I think if he underperforms, they'll definitely start looking elsewhere for talent.
Yep. And there's talent out there. I mean, there's quite a bit of people out there.
Yeah.
Then we've got Tennessee Titans, average. You got CJ0K.
Yeah. What's his name?
Jake Locker.
Yeah, is he going to be their starting quarterback?
I believe he will be because they've got no one else. Yeah. Matt Hasselbeck has been their backup the past few years. Now he's in Indianapolis. I feel another season from the Titans. They're just no.
Yeah, there was one game they played against Green Bay and they got blown out.
I remember that.
Yeah, I mean, if they can avoid that, they'll be a lot better off.
I mean, the only player they really have is Chris Johnson, and he's not that good.
Yeah, Kenny Britt can't stay healthy, and maybe Kendall Washington and Nate Washington, Kendall Wright.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they can step up, that'll really help that team out.
We already covered the Redskins with the biggest storyline there is RG3's health.
Yeah.
If he's healthy, they are in the playoffs.
Maybe Pierre Garçon, he was kind of his go-to guy, wasn't he?
Towards the end of the season, he started off hurt.
Yeah.
But they've got Roy Halou as their running back, and Roy Halou.
Alfred Morris.
Roy Halou was their running back.
Yeah.
But Alfred Morris, I mean, he rookie last year. I mean, great.
He seems like one of those guys where had he gone to a different team, he maybe wouldn't have as great of a season. But just that scheme that they had for him just worked perfectly, and it's
he had a bunch. I think he had like 14 touch. No, not that. May be too many.
He had the very last game against the Cowboys. It was like they're winning in for the playoffs. He really came through for them. Yeah. He rushed for like 200-something yards, and I think he had like 2 or 3 touchdowns.
Their defense is good.
Yeah,
and but
solid defense.
All right, well, we kind of touched on all the teams today.
We tried to.
No one wants to hear about the Jaguars. Sorry if there's any Jaguars fans listening. But
I'm not sorry.
But we now have a new mic, a Yeti, a blue Yeti.
Not mic. Product placement.
Not product placement. If you're listening, Blue Yeti, you're using your mic. It's awesome.
It's a great product.
We have this now, so we can, as you could probably tell just from listening, it's much more fluent, much more just, it's not choppy, because before we were using one microphone going back and forth, and that made it very, very difficult to record.
Time consuming.
Very time consuming. We've been here recording I've been here for about 3 hours, but
Fish came over.
Yeah, we had a Fish, if you remember from episode 001. Fish was a special guest. But continue listening. We follow us on Twitter. It's at WS to the Moon. We have a Facebook site. Like us on Facebook with Swag to the Moon. We're trying to get that stuff going now because it's summer. We don't have school. We can,
football's right around
the corner. We're excited for it. I'm sure you're excited for it if you're listening to this. We have this microphone. It picks up everything. Just keep listening. Tell your friends. Get us out there. We would much appreciate that.
Tell your moms.
Max likes the mamas. The beat in the beginning of this was by DJ K Quill, or I think it's just K Quill. I'm just gonna put DJ because he makes beats for us. I want to give out a special shout out to my brother Tyler 2 Chainz.
2 Chainz.
2 Chainz. He is probably the one who he reps us the most. So, I mean, he's out there telling people about this.
Keep fighting the good fight.
Keep fighting the good fight. We should be back. We're going to try and do the weekly. Let's just try and go with weekly. Try and get them up today is Thursday. This will probably be either on tonight, Thursday night, or tomorrow, Friday, the 7th. I maybe shoot for every Wednesday. That kind of seems like a good...
My schedule is pretty random, but we'll make it work.
We're going to make it work. We're coming up here with... We're going to try and get Nate Walsh, if you remember him from our last episode. We're going to try and get him and Fish and maybe 1 or 2 more people. We're going to do 101 questions about the upcoming season. And that's going to be anything from fantasy to just
questions.
Anything. Just questions. So if you have a question... write it on the comments below. And thank you for listening. Have a good day.
See ya.